came as a real surprise in that this is the first wireless headphone ever from Focal. And on top of that, they decided to go with a, travel inspired ANC headphone as well. So they really took on, a big chunk here in a new product line for them. And it's impressive. A lot of times you can tell a freshman effort. This one, not so much. It looks a lot like the Celeste or the Radiant, some of those, but the body on it is smaller. So don't let the look fool you. If you don't see them side by side, you might be tempted to say, oh, well, they just reused the frame from one of the other models. No, they didn't. It's lightweight magnesium. So it is still all metal construction, but it is a smaller cup, and it's a lighter model for travel. And on top of that, it still uses the M-shaped dome driver that Focal has been famous for, and started out with their Utopias and the trickle down technology from that. And it's a little different. Utopia is a beryllium plated. This one is not. This one's an aluminum magnesium coating. So a little bit of a cost savings there, but amazing to me that, not only did they come out with their first ever wireless headphone, actually one of their least expensive headphones at $799. So not only did they take on a new product line, but they came in at a lower price point than expected as well. So
$799 puts them near the high end of this category, which up until earlier this year, we hadn't seen anything above 500, or we've seen a few not with noise canceling above 500.
There have been as I'll say, there really have been very few products above 500 in the wireless market. I think a lot of it has been that the audiophile market and the wireless market really have not interacted, simply because there's been that contention about it's lossless. No, it's not. Can this protocol do this? Can this protocol do that? So forth and so on. These support AAC and aptX adaptive. So arguably on the aptX adaptive, you've got the capability to do lossless. They also have USB connectivity. So you can plug them in directly to your laptop or your source and do 24/192 true lossless over USB.
I think that's a feature you don't get in many other wireless noise canceling headphones. Or only a few?
Only a few. There are a few others out there that support having a USB connection. To my knowledge, this is one of the very few where the sound quality is actually better on the USB than it is on the wireless version of it by nature of that 24/192 DAC built in. Interestingly, they also have a 3.5 millimeter connection, so you can run a straight auxiliary cable as well, but they still have to be powered on to do that, as everything goes through that amplifier circuit to get to the drivers, regardless of how you have it connected, whether it's Bluetooth or via AAC with an Apple device, aptX adaptive, USB 3.5, it all goes through the same amplifier circuit on the headphones.
Right. And you've been testing a lot of the wireless noise canceling headphones, all the way from $100 ones up to the $1,000 Mark Levinson one that we've already reviewed on eCoustics.com. So you'll want to go check out that review. But this one kind of caught your attention as it being less money than the Mark Levinson. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but how would you rate its performance in the upper end of this category?
Well, I'll say it openly and without shame. For me, this is a better headphone than the Levinson. I think looks department, this one's got it beat by a good distance. To me, the Levinson's a little Beats-esque. It doesn't necessarily look the part. And the Levinson is very much tuned toward the Harman target curve, which some people will love, some people not so much. The Bathys isn't completely a reference headphone, but it comes closer by a good margin than does the Levinson. So if you're looking for something that is going to be more linear and a little closer to neutral, the Bathys is a better bet. Both are great sounding, not to take anything away from the Levinson, but the tuning is not going to be as popular with me as something that's a little more neutral, and these fit that bill.
And you've also tested Sony, Bowers & Wilkins, Master and Dynamic. pretty much all of the competitors that come in a little bit lower priced than this, because there really isn't anything that sits at a $799 price point in the wireless noise canceling category. So how would you rate the upgrade over some of the lower priced competitors?
I think the closest two to this one are the Levinson immediately above it in bracket and the Master and Dynamic immediately below it. I think these have markedly better sound quality than anything I've tested below it.
Okay.
The detail and the resolution is a degree better. That alone, I think, is justification to a lot of people to look at these instead of one of the others. The ANC on these
that's the active noise cancellation.
Right. The active noise cancellation, not quite as good as the Sony or the top end Bose. They're not quite there, but you have to remember too, that even in talking with the engineers at Focal, which we got to do the other day for a while, that was never the intention. They wanted to hit a happy medium where ANC was good enough that outside noises didn't interrupt your music, but that it didn't interrupt the music. And too often when you see ANC, it's okay, how much of a hit am I going to take for my sound quality when I turn this on? So their goal was adequate ANC, minimal intrusion into the sound. And in that respect, I think they did very well. It's certainly something that I could wear on a plane and not worry about the droning noises, the things like that. The place where the Sony is probably a little better is high frequency noise.
Right. So let's look at some of the controls on the bottom, the usability. How did that factor into while you were using them?
Well, what you can see here, starting from the far, or I guess it's the far right of the screen, depending on, you have the 3.5 connector, the USB connector. From there, you have the ANC button. You have the on-off switch, which I like the idea that that's a 3-position switch and it's a physical switch. It's very hard to hit that and turn it off by accident or mess it up.
Right.
Then you have your volume rocker that also operates as your play, pause, and forward back, and also as your pairing control. These are multi-point controls, so you can switch back and forth. There is one button on the other, and I misspoke. Let me rephrase that. There is one button on the other cup that's the ANC control. The button at the very bottom there between the USB port and the on-off switch is actually the Google Assistant, Amazon, or Apple Siri. Yeah, it's the digital assistant.
Let me see if I can find a photo of the other side.
I don't think they've made much of it. There's literally the one cup has one button on it, and it's your ANC controls. And that's the one place where the controls physically on the unit kind of fall down. When you're in the app, you actually have a couple of ANC settings that you can access. And when I say the physical control falls down, the issue I have with it is you don't get an auditory cue as to which level you're on. So you can switch between the various modes, but it doesn't come back and say, now you're in this one, now you're in that one. Right. So you kind of either you have to know going in, or it's a little counterintuitive on that part. The application right now is one of the better ones as far as being streamlined, simple to use, easy to use. It has a decent equalizer. I think it's a 5-band memory serves, and that may change because this is still a beta application, and by the time it gets to market, that may be a little bit different. But it does have easy access to the ANC and the ambient settings, so you can click a couple of buttons and be to basically anything you can control in the app in about 3 clicks. So no digging around having to find stuff. So it's a nice, easy, simple design. I think that's basically what they went for altogether. Is doesn't try to do everything, but it's simplistic. ANC is good enough that you turn it on, don't have to mess with it. Sound quality is great. Controls are easy. Right. Pairing was straightforward and to the point of turn it on and the phone says, do you want me to connect? Yep, go for it.
Right.
So I think simplicity was a big sell for these. Kind of took a page out of Apple's playbook on that. Apple
Right.
sells an awful lot of products because they're easy to use, not necessarily because they're the best thing that ever was ever made. I think Focal takes that same page out of the playbook for controls, but ups the sound quality considerably over what we saw out of something like the AirPods Max.
All right. So upgraded sound quality. I think that's really what it comes down to. And from what it sounds like, I think this is your preference out of all of the wireless noise canceling headphones out there at any price right now, because we've
I
tested
think
all of them, right?
I think it. Well, I can't say I've tested all of them. There are
Okay.
probably a few that have escaped us. We've tested an awful lot of them lately.
Okay.
Uh, this one, if money is not the object, and you have the
Right.
budget for it, and you want the top end of what the market's capable of right now, this is it.
All right.
Like I said, there's a choice there between the Levinson and this, and based on your sound signature preference, one of those two is going to be your choice.
Right.
To
And
me,
just for quick reference, the Mark Levinson number 5909 is a $999 headphone.
correct, correct. We're
And
very
yeah,
similar feature set.
and yeah, I think you have it with you, so maybe we could put the.
I have the Bathys.
All
The
right, let me.
Levinson has already
Yeah,
gone on to a new. Here is the Bathys.
let me get you there.
Interesting thing there that you can see on the screen is that it's not, a reflection. That is actually, this is an LED on the front of it. So you have the ability in the application also to turn the LED on and off. So you'll see it. There we
Yep.
go. So there we turn it off, and you can see now the face of it without the LED lit. But yeah, as you can tell here too, these are slightly smaller when you see them in this setting than something like the Celeste
Right.
or Radiance, some of the other models. Still very solid design, very typical Focal
Right.
aesthetic to them. The still leather cups. They took a few shortcuts in doing things in that the drivers are made in France, but the headphone is actually assembled outside of France, which helped them cut some of the costs. But to look at it, you would think, it is typical of Focal, very, much their design aesthetic, very much their build quality and what you'd expect.
Right. Right. And yeah, I mean, they feel. Do they look as, or do they feel as good as they look?
Yeah, they actually look better in hand than they do in the photos. One thing that the photos don't do them justice is there's more of a color difference between the face of the cup and the side of the cup than these photos show. The gimbals and the face is a gunmetal gray. The
Right.
side of the cup and the headband are both black.
Okay.
So in the photo that we're seeing here, there's less difference between the face and the side than what you see when you see it in hand. It's
Right.
really a very striking combination. I think they did a good job with it. It's actually one of the ones in the Focal line I like. There were a few in there, like the choice of brown for the Stellia, that I
Right.
wasn't real big on. Still good looking headphone, bad color choice.
So these come in one color, right? One color right now.
As of right now, if you want them, you can have them any color you want as long as it's gray and black.
Right. One color. They should be available today. We were told they'd be available on launch day, or at least for pre-order. We will determine that after the video and provide links below. William has reviewed these, so you'll want to check out our full review on the website. And I think you had one more thing you wanted to.
So one more touch point. Battery life, 30 hours.
Okay.
With 15 minutes worth of quick charge, yielding another 5 hours worth of listening time. So again, kind of the travel motif. You should be able to take these and have them outlast you as far as the plane trip goes.
Got you. So battery life is pretty standard. A lot of them are in this category, but there are some with a lot more. But you're really buying sound quality. That's really what you're getting in this Focal Bathys. I hope I'm saying that right. I hope you're saying that right. And yeah, I think let's kind of wrap it up here and direct people to your review, which will also be linked below in the comments. And yeah, you've been watching a product launch from eCoustics.com with Senior Headphone Editor William Jennings, and I'm your host, Brian Mitchell, the founder of eCoustics. So we'll see you next time. Bye.